Good evening. Today is Monday, February 1st, 2021. Regular session of the Board of School Trustees of the School City of Chicago. The time is now 6:10 p.m. The place is the School City of Chicago Administration Building, 1401 East 144th Street, in Chicago, Indiana, 46312. We also have we're also via live stream at www.scec.k12.in.us. This is a meeting of the school board and public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public meeting. There will be time for public participation as indicated by the agenda. Ms. Cass, roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Present via Zoom.
Trustee Gomez,
Present.
Trustee Williams,
Present.
Trustee Smith,
Present.
Chairman Hernandez Orange.
Present. Can we please rise for the pledge of allegiance to the flag of the
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll move into the business portion of the meeting. But first, we'll have the approval of distribution of payroll. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, move for approval.
Trustee Gomez makes a motion for approval.
Second.
Trustee Smith seconds the motion. Any questions? Ms. Cass, roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Gomez,
Yes.
Trustee Williams,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez Orange.
Yes. Next, item number 2, approval of claim docket. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I make a motion for approval.
Trustee Smith makes a motion for approval.
Second.
Trustee Gomez seconds the motion. Any questions? I know I did have a question. Sorry, I had to pull it back up. Right, I just wanted to confirm, the number 2s are the ones that are actually non-certified, correct? I'm sorry. Oh. Sorry, just a minute. I know I sent you a couple items for the claim docket, and then you sent some stuff back. But I think not all of that.
Are you referring to the email?
Yes, but Jessica's gonna go first.
Thank you, Madam President. I did have a question. Looks like it's on page number 8, the top line item there. I see the claim numbers are 31,558 and 559. What are the services?
Those are the services for removing any medical waste that's in the nurse's office per school building. This is a contract that was signed prior to me getting here, and it does come up at the end of 22. So we probably will no longer have the service. We are going with free service that I'm trying to get into. So basically, it picks up medical waste.
Excuse me, are we able to minimize the cost of that by utilizing this group you're referring to and then just paying these people out or paying them a flat fee?
Actually, Jesse, I've been working for since we went into quarantine, because they didn't want to even stop charging us during quarantine. and I went to bat, and like they couldn't even get in my schools for 3 months, and they were trying to charge me for the 3 months, but they did not pick up. So they did give me that 3-month credit, but as soon as everything opened back up under this contract, we were liable for it. I actually cut down. They were coming once a week. I cut it down to twice a month.
And how does the contract read?
Other than a 6-year term that was signed for, I can send it over to you.
Send it to the board.
Okay.
Yeah, that was 6 years. You said 6 years ago?
It was a 6-year contract when I came in. And I didn't realize it was a 6-year contract. I tried to get out of it this year because we were paying over this amount a month, and it was ridiculous. So the amounts that you're looking at right there is a 2-month that I was still in the processes of fighting with them to get the 3 months off that I know for a fact they were not in the building.
I guess I would just ask again if we could try to negotiate them out of this contract somehow and then utilize whatever service they're considering.
Will do.
And Lila, if you can send me a copy of it too.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, I found the items. I saw on page, so it would be your page 11 of 18, and it's check 107729.
Yes, these are 2 windows at Harrison that had some interesting things come through it that I had to replace. So basically the outside environment came through the window.
Oh, okay. Item, so your page 9, check number 107704.
Key, this was key replacement of some doors that was not accessible at Kerry Garage at the time. With us doing the social distancing, we are now using these rooms.
I know we had some costs in this building, so I didn't know if we had to rechange the locks completely in that building or if we receive our keys back. That's why I thought it might have been that, but I wanted to ask.
No. I'm sorry, Vanessa. I didn't see all these when I sent you the email back. I am so sorry.
Okay. On your page 13, item 107711.
This is a high ability consultation for training. I think Ms. Wright can speak a little bit more on that. I do believe that we have teachers going out for training to be high ability teachers. Am I understanding that right, Ms. Wright?
Yes, that's actually correct. For years, we have not had our high ability classes, so we want to reinstate high ability back into the district. So there's some certain criteria that teachers need, and so we're going to send those teachers to professional development for high ability.
Next, page 14. Check 107698.
Actually, I would have to do some research on that one. I am not totally clear on it. I do see it's a license fee, but I would have to see which program is for.
Well, 698 actually, a program, yes.
Hold on. You said page 14, correct?
Page 14, so the first item is 107,698, and that's, it says,
I can speak on that. That's our American Read Company, also known
Oh.
as. So what happened, we didn't have enough toolkits for McKinley. So McKinley is using some of their school improvement grant to purchase those toolkits for students.
and then the second item, 107,722.
The license fees, that's for CAMI. CAMI is also a online technology program that McKinley is using for formative assessments, and they're also using their SCEC monies to purchase CAMI.
So are these contracts that we have to have in place? I don't remember Candy from before.
CAMI it's just license, we pay for the license.
So, Attorney Harris, do we have to have the licensing of a program come before us? If we're using this program, because that would be like what we're trying to approve today, that's a license company.
Yeah, it depends on how it's structured. Sometimes that's included in an overall agreement, and sometimes it's broken out separately. But typically, if there's a separate dedicated cost for it, it's something that probably for clarity, it comes before the board so that later when you see it on the claims list, you're not curious, hey, what's that for? But there are times that there is an agreement that's listed separate from the license, and it happens to be with two different entities, and it can create some confusion, but it was always intended to go together because you can't use one without the other. But maybe for future reference, if there's going to be a separate license fee under a different company name, we want to make sure that that's clear during the initial overview, so you're familiar later when you see charges for it.
So then, so I'm using the overall company of, systems.com, but then I would need book.com to go with systems.com in order to make it happen. So is that what we have?
That, I don't know, but I can get that information for you all. I'm not sure about that.
Okay, I at this point don't feel comfortable approving that without my name, just the information regarding that. So, I'll get to that in a second. Also on page 14, check 3099DD.
Yes, this is the gentleman that does our yearly MOU for special ed. He comes in and take care of the paperwork and the formula for the state and submit our paperwork to the state. He comes in yearly. I'm sorry?
Maintenance of effort.
Oh, MOE.
Yes.
Your page 15, 107735.
It's a software license again. And this is Title IV software. So it looks like it's possibly a PD training. I would have to dig into that one also to give you more details on that.
So that's my last two, but I would, now Jules, can I ask for approval of this with removing those two items until we receive the information for that? Or would that have to be motioned by someone else?
No, just going back a little, now it's been a while. Do we have a motion on the floor right now?
Yes.
We do. So whoever made the motion needs to accept the amendment that you're proposing. And if I understand correctly, your amendment is to remove two particular items. So Rhonda, who made the motion?
Trustee Smith.
So trustee Smith, would you then agree to amend your motion to remove the two items that trustee Hernandez Orange says she needs additional information on?
Yes.
Okay, and who seconded it, Rhonda?
Trustee Gomez.
Trustee Gomez, would you then second that amended motion?
I'm more familiar with the way of just withdrawing the motion and reintroducing it. Is there a difference?
I'm sorry, I couldn't make out exactly what you said.
Right.
I'm more familiar with the method of withdrawing the motion and then bringing in the new motion.
If that's your preference, we can do it that way. Since you second it, if you would rather it be reintroduced, we can.
Draw.
So Ms. Smith took the motion off the table, or correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
you would just withdraw your motion, and now we can get another motion on the floor to take action.
I have a motion for the approval of claims docket with the removal of item 1072 and the removal of.
He has to remove it.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
I guess
I
you-
make a
I'm
motion
sorry.
for approval.
So you just have to say,
What, withdraw your
but
motion?
yeah,
You have to withdraw your motion,
Oh,
just,
I withdraw my motion.
yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I thought she had done that already after we discussed it. Okay.
So now if you have a motion for approval with for the claim dockets with the removal of item 107722 and item 107735. I'm sorry, check number 107722 and check number 107735. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I would motion for approval
Trustee
with the
Williams,
removal of those two items.
Trustee Williams makes a motion for approval.
a second.
Trustee Gomez seconds the motion. Any questions? Ms. Cass, roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Gomez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez Orange.
Yes. Next, we'll move to item number 3, approval of personnel report. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I make a motion for approval of personnel report.
Trustee Smith makes a motion for approval.
I'll second that motion.
Trustee Rodriguez seconds the motion. Any questions?
Madam President,
Trustee Gomez.
thank you. Page 3. The top line there is not sure how, under the comment section, how does that come about? Is that a request by this individual, or is that departmental? How does one go into this this category?
So this particular individual has a 504, and he's only going to work 4 hours a day per his 504.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes. Superintendent Vice, these are your recommendations, correct?
I'm just looking at the athletic recommendation now, so I can't speak on that one, but the first page, absolutely. Third page, absolutely.
Any other questions?
So that I'm clear, the second page, no, these are not my recommendations.
I guess if they're not, I mean, if their recommendations solely of the athletic department and not of with your input on there, why are they before us?
This is my first time seeing this. They were not on the personnel report when I gave it to Rhonda.
Madam President, I would ask for the same motion that we did on the last item and have page number 2 deleted. Trustee Williams will withdraw his motion.
It was Trustee Smith who made the approval for personnel report.
Yes, Trustee Smith made the motion for personnel report.
Okay.
Are we done with questions before she?
No, I actually have a question, couple questions.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. So once again, I want to go back to this. So the athletic director sends this to you or to the our doctor?
She sent it to Robert Doctor. I haven't seen this before. I have not seen this.
So whatever goes on the agenda is what you see as well as what I see, correct?
Right.
So why would we even put on the agenda?
I have not seen this. This is my first time seeing this.
So my next question for item number 4116, I think because of the title of this person, just out of curiosity, what are we doing to make up time? Because I do know that, well, first off, the comments as to why, I guess for the social work, and I'm sorry, well, we shouldn't, I mean, that's a big issue right now with suicide and at the homes and so forth and so on. Are we trying to look for someone else, or like, I do know that it's hard to fill.
It's, and so this position that this person is assigned to, we have other people going in assisting to make sure that all kids are serviced.
Okay, that was my big thing. And I know we're taking off the agenda, item 423 and 422. But I see that they are, is this position something that was recently made, or is this stipend that was recently made? How do you come up with this? Is it in the teacher contract?
I believe we've always had the Google coordinator, so I will, before I misspeak, I will investigate that first. I'll find out.
And then, so when we have the number 2, and I don't want to just reiterate this for Trustee Gomez. For our teachers that we have certified and non-certified, in the parentheses, we usually have a 2 or a 1. I just don't remember it. The 2 was non-certified, right?
Emergency permit, yes.
And 1 is certified. And I know I'm probably speaking just since there's 2 more emergency permit teachers hired. Just what's the plan? I mean, have we been looking into trying to fill those spots?
Absolutely. In fact, Mr. Doctor's involved in virtual hiring practices. I've sent principals to some of those seminars. Right now, it's difficult to hire or find certified teachers because most of them have already located a job. So absolutely.
I did see that on one of our Rhonda centers for training.
Yes.
So we're going back to the practice where principals are hiring.
Both. Yes, both. They have input. They have input on their teachers that come to the building.
But they're not the ones recruiting, it's the administration.
Yes, we recruit, right. We recruit. And in fact, back in November, I participated in a virtual hiring career fair from Purdue, and it was approximately 8 or 9 teachers. And I know for a fact that we're going to interview 2 of those teachers either this week or next week.
Madam President,
Trustee Williams.
I know we have on the table to remove page 2. My only concern with removing page 2 is some of these sports are in the process of getting ready to start spring coaches. And before they can start with any conditioning, they will have to be board approved. I know we probably another 2 weeks before we able to approve these spring coaches again.
I actually, not to interrupt, but I don't think you have the removal of page 2 on the table right now. I think you just have a motion and a second for approval. It was mentioned maybe removing page 2, but that's not the motion on the floor right now.
Okay. So we just question.
Right. The motion on the floor, you're in the question section. The motion on the floor, though, is for approval of the complete personnel report.
I thought Ms. Smith was asked to remove her motion.
Yes, I just didn't hear her do it, though.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And I mean, I do want to say, and I hate because of the people that are, or I know them. And actually, I'm staying with this vote regardless, but, you're actually removing coaches that are in session at this point in time. So you have high school coaches who are trying to practice with middle school individuals so that they can have a season. And now you're gonna remove coaches. So
that we're clear on what has happened, I emailed Monica, I emailed the athletic director maybe a week and a half ago. And I was asking her, when are we going to hire coaches for the spring? She said that I'm on it. I never got the memo. She never sent me the memo of who the hirees were. So therefore, I never saw this. So I'm assuming that the process that probably happened, and I'll go back and check my emails, but I'm almost certain that I never saw these candidates. So I'm assuming what happened was that she sent it directly to Mr. Doctor and not to me, for me to actually review.
I mean, which is fine, but then we need to fix that problem, because right now we're failing the kids again, because you won't have a season for the junior high girls basketball.
I totally agree that we need to fix the problem.
And we are going to get hurting kids. And this is a continuous, I mean, well, that's it.
I totally agree that we need to fix the problem, yes.
Okay. So, are we, did we remove the motion or not?
We're just in a question section. So
Oh, are there any more questions? So, Jewel, I know there was one of the trustees who asked to have it removed.
Right. So if Trustee Smith, who made the motion, I believe, doesn't remove page 2, then you need to call the question on the motion that's on the floor.
So, Ms. Smith. Yes. So trustee,
Yes.
yes. Trustee Smith does want to remove page 2.
Okay, so then in keeping with what we did with the prior motion, you can just withdraw it and let's have another motion made.
All right, so now will there be a motion for the personnel report, removing items on page 2?
Yes, withdraw the motion.
I thought you did.
She didn't say it. I said it, but she did. She didn't.
I'll make a motion. Withdraw.
Right.
No, we're withdrawing your previous motion.
So I seconded, I'll withdraw my second motion as well.
Okay.
Okay. So then now we have, oh yeah, you don't have to, you don't want to, but you do want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's good, she withdrew the motion, we're clear? Okay.
Yep. You just need a new motion now.
Now, is there a motion for the personnel report with, item number, with page number 2 being removed?
And President, make a motion to approve personnel report, pages 1 and pages 3. Excluding page 2.
There's a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Smith seconds the motion. Any questions?
Madam President,
Rodriguez?
okay, I just have one question. I know that we were talking about it earlier, but there's two items, 4023 and 4022, which is also on page 2. Would that be any hindrance to the district if we decide to remove this today?
No,
I'm sorry?
no.
They already did the job. We're just training them. Any other questions? Ms. Cass, roll call?
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Gomez,
Yes.
trustee Williams,
No,
trustee Smith,
No.
chairman Hernandez Orange.
I have to ask our attorney for advice. Attorney, because of one of the items on page 2, that I would have to abstain from the vote, correct?
That's what I would recommend, yes.
Okay, so I abstain. So then that means the motion carries, correct?
What was the total, Ms. Cass? It was even, wasn't it?
Yes. 2
Yes.
yea and 2 nay.
So it just fails to pass as is.
It's failed.
Okay, so then now we have to go back to another motion or just,
You have the ability to do that. You can, if there's another motion made. That particular motion failed. So if there's another motion that someone can think of proposing that would garner enough votes, you could do it.
Attorney Harris. I was under the impression that once motions, an item has been addressed, that we can't bring it up until the next meeting.
So that the same matter, that's true, but you had a very specific motion that was made to an amended agenda item. So for purposes of carrying on the district's business, there wouldn't be anything preventing you from making another motion as long as it's not the same matter that was already voted on. Now, if it's going to be substantially similar, you're right. Otherwise, we could be here all night with different variations of the same motion. So I think that's what you're referring to, that typically you just pick it up at the next meeting to keep business flowing. But in light of the fact that you're dealing with a personnel matter, if there's a way to resolve it to the satisfaction of the majority of the board, that's a possibility. If it's not, and it just seems as though more information is needed or more time is needed, I agree with you. It should be picked up at the next meeting. That's the prerogative of the board chair to either there's an attempt to be made there or there's not. I'm not sure what motion could be made under the circumstances to allow us to advance that agenda item. So I could understand deferring this just to the next meeting.
Attorney Harris, in regards to this personnel report, we have extracurricular activities and coaches that are being removed, and their sports are time sensitive. With COVID-19, half of our seasons have been shortened and eliminated at this particular time anyway. I believe Superintendent Wright said that she did not see these, but she's not saying that they have not been approved by an administrative meeting, Mr. Docket, which is the HR director, which this is supposed to be submitted to. I'm sure Mr. Docket is supposed to give it to Ms. Wright as well for approval, but I'm sure all these coaches have been background checked. All these coaches have been interviewed by the athletic director. So for us to hold the process up, if there's additional information that you need from an individual, I don't think we should hold up the entire pages or athletic coaches that are getting ready for their spring sports. That's the reason why my vote was no, because I didn't want page 2 removed due to the fact that I believe all these coaches have been properly not approved, but properly interview and background check that's taking place.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understood the superintendent's comments to be simply that they weren't necessarily her recommendation because they weren't provided to her, not that she objected or that they weren't submitted to HR for inclusion on the report. So if the board wants to make another motion on the personnel report as is, or as Trustee Gomez said, wait till the next meeting, it's up to each of you. It's your vote, your ability to make a motion.
I mean, Williams, sorry.
To the right,
Yes.
let me ask you, with these sports being in play, the spring sports taking, we also have middle school sports on here as well. Do you think that this is something that can wait another 2 weeks till you get to the root of it, or do this need to be approved today?
I would recommend, I would like for us to wait for 2 weeks.
So there we go. Let's move to the next one, right?
Yes. Next, we'll have the approval of return to learn plan. Superintendent Ray.
Yes. The district has surveyed teachers, staff, and parents. So we have the input from all of our stakeholders. I understand safety concerns for teachers and parents. However, CDC has stated that it's safe for students to return to the building. In fact, when students and staff are wearing masks, washing their hands, and practicing social distancing, the rate of infection is low. To ensure the safety of our students and staff, we have a ton of PPE. Due to the fact that only 48% of those parents that were surveyed have opted for in-person learning, social distancing can occur. We will continue with temperature checks at entrance doors, schedule bathroom breaks with coordinated cleaning and eating in the classroom. Further, we have spent $19,000 this school year alone to change air filters for proper ventilation in every building. We have done everything imaginable to make schools safe. We are one of the last districts in the area to allow in-person learning. That being said, it's safe enough for our students to return to the buildings. Therefore, I am recommending that our schools reopen to in-person learning on February 16th, 2021.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I move for approval of the return to learn plan.
Trustee Gomez makes a motion for approval.
Second.
Trustee Smith seconds the motion. Are there any questions?
Madam President.
Trustee Gomez.
So I guess a couple things that I would have questions about, or a few things that was actually, superintendent mentioned ventilation. Do we have like an outside contractor monitoring their ventilation system throughout the school district?
We have Arctic,
Arctic?
yes.
And who manages our PPE?
Ms. Lila Simmons and Lenny Francisci, our maintenance director.
And I guess the final question is probably the biggest one. There's been a lot of discussion lately about the variants, South Africa and the UK variants. Any thoughts on that? How do we handle that moving forward?
I'm not sure, but from my understanding, the variant is very closely related to the COVID-19. And just watching CNN, it poses pretty much the same threat as the regular COVID-19.
And I guess my question was more towards, I think the one or the other, perhaps both of them are more contagious, if you will, transmittable. If numbers reverse, or there's a trend that we know in the school district, how do we address that?
So when we were first started looking at the data, our benchmark was 14%. We stated that if the district or the county had a 14% or higher positivity rate, that we would go back to all virtual learning. As of today, the positivity rate is 9.3%. So according to the Indiana guidelines, we could sustain in-person instruction. So I receive a email every couple of days from the state, and when I look at the data, it always tells me what the positivity rate is. And I forwarded it to you all. I think I forwarded it to you all a few times. So yeah, I pay attention to that data very closely. And it's been dropping for the last 5 weeks consistently.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President,
Trustee,
Ms. Wright,
Yes.
my concern with the return to learning plan, not necessarily an actual plan, is have we surveyed teachers in regards to vaccination?
So
I know we can't, it's not policy that they have to take it, but what answer do you have in regards to vaccination for our teachers?
So vaccination for our teachers. So we've been working with the East Chicago Health Department, and they have to dispose or use vaccinations every day that they thaw them out. So we do have a few of our teachers who have been vaccinated because the leftover vaccinations were given to those teachers. So when can we actually get the entire staff? I'm not sure, but we are slowly vaccinating those high-risk teachers.
Thank you.
So based on what I've heard, I believe that March should be a target date for teachers to become vaccinated.
any other questions?
Ms. Wright, with this return to learn, I know you've keeping up with the statistics and the percentage, but has the community, I know you said you did the survey, but my concern is the community educated enough and very much aware of the proper procedures, once again, for the return to learn, if you understand what I'm saying, you know, because it's their children coming back.
Right.
Have they been educated again, explained, proper protocol, proper procedures? What if? Have all those situations been considered?
Oh, absolutely. So, and what we'll do is, because we have 2 weeks, we'll do it a couple more times to make sure that those 48% of the parents that decided that they want to send their kids back to school, we'll make sure that we do some more sessions with them or some more videos to make sure that they are fully aware. But yes, we'll do it again, yes.
So you think within 2 weeks, that'll be enough time to actually get the community involved and understanding the return to learn?
Yes, yes, because because we've done it before. We've done the Return to Learn program before. So it's going to be the same, pretty much the same format. So of course we can reintroduce them to the format again. For example, kids wear masks when they get on the bus. When they get off the bus, before they walk into the door, we have temperature checks. So it's really the same format, but we'll just reintroduce it to them. It's nothing pretty much new that's going to happen, except for the data tells us that the kids can come back to school. Absolutely.
So we have a plan A, B, and C.
A, B, and C.
And the community will be aware of that plan.
Absolutely.
A, B, and C.
Absolutely. So we have right now, parents can opt to send their kids back to school, or they can stay virtual. So we did the survey already. Approximately 48% said that they wanted their kids back in school. 52 stated they wanted their kids to remain virtual. So those parents that want to remain virtual, they can stay virtual. Those parents who want their kids to come into school, we will allow those parents, and we're going to also state that if you change your mind within 2 or 3 days before school starts, then we're gonna give you that option to change your mind. But yes, we're gonna reintroduce, we're gonna roll this out all over again like it had never been rolled out before, but the procedures and everything will remain the same. Yes.
Because I know we did that process prior to, and the day we opened, the parents that did not inform you they were going to go back traditional, the kid, you had an influx of children. Am I correct? And
I'm not sure about that. Could have, I don't know.
because, you know, some parents.
Oh, there was, because my child was one of them. So there was an influx, and we sent them on to the admin building in Central High School. So there was an influx, and all the buildings actually. But
I'm sorry.
Trustee
And just,
When you say there was an
well,
influx.
I'm just saying, some
what-
kids, you know, some children whose parents had decided overnight, I want to send my child back to school as opposed to virtual.
Okay, so because we have to make sure that we practice social distancing, we have to have a firm deadline on when parents can make that decision. Because if a room only allows 10 kids and we have allowed for 9 kids, then 3 parents cannot all of a sudden say, well, I want my kids back in school. So there has to be, and whatever happens tonight, there's going to be a robocall that goes out tonight, and we have to make sure that there's a firm deadline. Because if there's not a firm deadline, then our social distancing kind of goes out the window. So parents and the community has to be cognizant of the fact of that we're not going back, all 20 kids in one classroom will be going back into the classroom. So I want the board to understand, because you all will be getting the phone calls, we have to have a firm deadline. That this is the deadline. If your kid is virtual, you signed up for virtual in Skyward, and you now want your kid to go traditional, we need that firm deadline date. Unless we can accommodate that kid. If we cannot accommodate that kid, then if they say they wanted that kid virtual, they have to stay virtual. If we have space, then we can make that accommodation. But if we don't have space, then we can't make that accommodation.
Are there any questions? Any more questions?
So,
Trustee Murphy, I'm sorry.
okay, go ahead. No. I just think that deadline is critical.
Just a couple of questions. One is the difference. What do you feel the difference as far as the kids coming back to school as opposed to them doing virtual learning? What would you consider? I don't want to say what's the rush, but what would you consider a meaningful position in terms of providing the kids or having the kids come back to school? I'm not, regardless of data, because it could be a 9% this week, it can be a 15% next week. So I'm not really looking at data, but what I'm trying to understand is, and I'll give you an example. One of my concerns as far as teachers was attendance. How do you attend teachers that actually are teaching these kids? But then I found out that when they log into Zoom, that's sort of an attendance when they log in and when they log out. So, I mean, whether the teachers are at home or at school, why would we, or why now? Why, February 1st, for example? Besides the data, but I'm just trying to get a more clarity in terms of what's the rush if we're not completely vaccinated, teachers are not vaccinated, administrators. I mean, just there's so much that's still going on, and yet and I understand if other cities and towns want to do it, that's one thing, but I'm just trying to have a clear understanding as why now.
Well, now because the positivity rates are lower, and 2, I just think that our kids are suffering from greater learning loss by being virtual. Many of our kids just need to be in the presence of a teacher. They need to come to the buildings. Many of our kids are not logging in to their classes. I know for a fact some Students have just given up. They're tired of virtual learning. And our kids would have been out of school 1 month, 1 year next month. So my biggest concern is learning loss. So why the rush? I just think that our kids are falling further and further behind. The achievement gap is widening. And I sent you all some data from iReady that showed that, you know, our kids are falling further and further and further behind. So I know it's not the ideal situation, but, you know, I say in my heart, I believe that we're safe enough to return. Because we have seen other school districts who have been in school since last fall. They may have had to stutter a few times, but they go right back into the buildings. So I just think that, you know, our kids are suffering from a learning loss, and I think it's safe enough for our kids to go back to school.
Any other questions?
And keep in mind, Trustee Rodriguez, only 48% of the kids are returning to the building. It's not 100%, and it's not even 80% like it is in some other districts. We have only 48% of our kids who are returning or planning to return in person.
So why is February the 16th that day?
The February the 16th is that date because in January, I believe, or it was in December, we said we would do it in 2-week increments. We said that we would look at the data every 2 weeks and we will make a determination. So I think in the board meeting, December 16th, we said we would look at the data again, January 4th. So we agreed that we would look at the data every 2 weeks. So that's how the 16th came.
So from the 16th, I'm just saying, to March the 1st, would that be a big difference?
Well,
I mean, I'm just saying.
well, just based on the data, and the data points that we said we would use, those are the data points. We're 9.3%. When we committed, or you all approved the recommendation for virtual, we were at 14%. We had a unique positivity rate above 20%. So we had agreed that as long as it was 14%, we would stay virtual. We're not 14%, we're at 9%. So does it make a difference? 2 weeks is 2 weeks. We don't know what's.
Madam President, I got another question. This is for Jewel Harris. In terms of the high-risk teachers, as well as were we just referring to high-risk teachers when we started monitoring the high-risk teachers, or whatever happened with that?
So we weren't particularly monitoring high-risk teachers. The conversation we were having about them is there was a group of teachers who identified themselves as high risk, maybe just because of their awareness of their own condition, or because they recently had an opinion from a medical provider that they could be at higher risk of infection of COVID-19. So they made requests of the administration for certain accommodations based upon them categorizing themselves as high risk. What we all said in our meeting is that there would be a process where we would evaluate those requests along with a medical professional to determine if the school corporation as the employer would agree to deem them as high risk, and if so, what would that accommodation look like? So I've worked with the superintendent to confirm that there will be an evaluation of all those requests this Wednesday in a meeting with Dr. Browning to bring some resolution to the issue of those requests for a special accommodation.
So
that's the latest on that.
So for example, if a teacher admitted high risk via doctor's report, they were still coming to the school for the last 3 weeks? Is that what?
I think there's a combination of scenarios, and Superintendent Wright could speak to this a little bit more. I think some people were using their sick time and some people were coming to the school. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but Superintendent Wright, is that correct?
Correct, yes, correct.
Okay. So are we benefiting those teachers that did show proper notification on the time that we allow teachers to come back to school, what happened to those 2.5 weeks? Say, for example, if I had 1 week vacation, 1 week personal, I end up exhausting both the 1 week vacation and personal. And you, as well as the doctor and so forth, has deemed that I can teach at home. So what happens to those 2 weeks that they lose?
So that's a good question. And I had a conversation with the head of the teachers union, Helen Steinbach, today. And she, as of today, made a request on behalf of those teachers that if they are deemed to be high risk, based upon the advice we get from a medical professional, they have a request then to get any time that they use back for that period of time. So that's something that is in the process right now that we're talking about. I actually haven't even forwarded that over to the superintendent yet. That happened probably 30 minutes before our meeting started today. So we are talking with the union. There's conversation going back and forth about how best to deal with this scenario. But right now, that's the request of the union. And ultimately, a decision will be made of what will happen once we complete those evaluations on Wednesday.
And one more question. I know I'm only hearing teachers, but are we talking teachers and paraprofessionals?
Superintendent Wright could probably answer that. I actually don't even look at the names. I was under the impression that the majority of the people who made those requests were teachers, and I'm using that term just generically. It could be a combination of different employees, but when I get information from the administration on the people who are making the request, I actually don't even get names or know what their position is. But Superintendent, are there other job classifications who have also made these requests?
The only job are teachers and peers. I have not seen any job classifications of clerks, maintenance, technology, only teachers and peers. So Joel, let me chime in a little bit. We have been in direct conversation with the labor attorney, Mr. Dixon. In fact, we were in an hour meeting earlier today. So we have, every step of the way, we have been working with Dave Dixon and Jewel. And unfortunately, we just couldn't get a doctor who would come in and, take a look. But right now, we do have a doctor that's going to come in and take a look Wednesday. Here's another thing. We have gotten some requests that were lacked medical advice. For example, we have gotten letters that just stated, okay, I saw this person in my office, and those people have turned in letters stating that they were high risk. So we wanted to make sure that if teachers were high risk, that we had the proper documentation, and then we wanted the doctor to take a look at it to say, this person is at a higher risk of contracting the virus and surviving the virus. Anything else, we would have been flooded with half the districts stating that they were high risk for issues that weren't really technically high risk. Did I answer your question, Joel?
Yeah, and what was that number, do you know, offhand?
The number of
teachers and paras. Just, I'm not saying like a range. Was there a range? From like 10 to 20 teachers and paras? I know you keep saying teachers, but are we including paras in this high risk category?
Right. So now we have, I think, 11 teachers out that the doctor had agreed that they were at high risk, but we have about 40 to 50 new applicants in who were stating that they were high risk. And and then we also have some that were denied the first time. So it's work in progress.
Madam President.
Trustee Williams.
Ms. Wright, with you just making that last statement, I think I've already answered my question, but I'm sorry. I guess Joel brought up another concern in regards to if we already have 11 teachers out with 41, not saying that all of them will be approved to be to stay home to teach virtually, but what happens in those since, say all 40 of them do get approved? The 47% of the kids that are coming back to school, are we gonna have enough bodies in the building to teach the 47% of the kids that are coming back to school?
That's a good, that's, so Mr. Dixon and I, our team, we talked about that this morning. And pretty much what he stated was that, we have a right to, make accommodations for those teachers that are high risk. And Joel, you can chime in at any time, but he said that we have a right to accommodate those teachers, but we don't have a right to replace those teachers. So at some point, we have to decide, are these teachers coming back into the building or are they not coming back into the building? Because as we know, COVID-19 is going to be around for a while. So in my opinion, we can not just say we're not going to open up school ever because we have high-risk teachers.
Are there any other questions? I have a couple.
I do.
Go ahead.
This is just a suggestion. Because of the community and because of, they're sending their kids back, even if it's the 48%. It would, to show the community what we have done to, cleaner schools, proper ventilation, sanitation, screens, whatever we need to do. It would be nice to do a video, a walkthrough in each one of your schools showing, that's just a suggestion, a walkthrough with a video showing all of the equipment and all the things that we have in place. Because, people think that we don't have anything in place. And if you show a video to walk through showing all the precautions that we've taken to make our children safe, I think that the community will feel a little more better about sending their children to school. And maybe in the future, constantly keep it going. And in the future, then your 48% would go higher. That's just a suggestion.
Right.
Because we have spent a lot of money in our community to upgrade, to sanitize our schools, but if the community doesn't know that, that's just hearsay.
Right.
I agree with the suggestion.
I have a question. This 48% that we keep talking about that are deciding to go back to school, where do you get that data from?
From the survey that I sent to you guys. The survey that I sent to you guys, I believe it was Friday.
And how many students do we have in the school building?
How many
And
students in the district?
Yes.
About 3,500.
So from the survey that you received, that we received, from the family survey, there was 553 people who surveyed. And then there was, for the children, there was 373 students who surveyed. How is that an accurate number that 48% of students are going to want to come back to the school building?
Because we took 40, so if 553 parents completed the survey, 48% of those parents stated that they wanted their kids to come back.
So then that's not the whole district. So we are actually not working on accurate data.
We're working on comparative data. So comparative data means that if 100 people complete a survey, and I take a look at how many people said yes, how many people said no, that's a sample size of the community. So I can extrapolate that data and say, this is a sample size. These are the people who completed the survey, and this is the sample size of the district.
So you're comfortable with doing the sample size of the district in order to decide whether or not to have kids come back into the school building, right?
Well, I can't make every parent complete the survey, but what I can say is this, that when we, at the beginning of the school year, when we told parents they had to choose virtual or traditional, it was, at that time, it was approximately 55-45. So based on what I know about data, I would say it's pretty accurate, because at that time, the parents had to choose. They had to make a choice. What do you choose? What do you prefer? 55% said virtual, 45% said traditional. So we took the sample of the survey now, and now we have 48-52. So yes, Your answer, yes.
Okay, so with that being said, since from the last time we came in, there was two things that happened that were wrong with the last time we came in. The very first time when we signed, when parents signed up, parents, first off, you don't register. All the kids don't register. That's number one. Number two, there was an issue with people not really knowing whether or not they're signing up or not. So then when the kids went actually into school building in October, correct? That's what I'm doing.
No, October 20, yes.
So then parents didn't know that they had to sign up once again. Then when they went into school, because of the proposed data that we were going off of, there was more students in the building than expected. So they were then sitting in the building. This was off of the proposed, what's that word? I'm sorry. Comparative data.
Yes.
So it was the comparative data that went off of, yet we had people waiting to get into the school building. So again, not accurate, which means we might have either more and or less. So this 48%, I just don't think, again, with COVID and our community and where we're at right now, I think we should have done a better job of getting surveys out to parents. Even if you have truancy officers, you have deans, you have people who could go and leave a card or a letter or something just so you get a more accurate count. Because at this point, it's not. Also,
So Vanessa, what I'll say is that I was a science teacher and I've always looked at comparative data, because if we wait on every single person to complete a survey, then we will never have valid data. So once again, of those 553, that's just a random sample. The survey did not just go out to one particular side of the city. That's just a random sample, of people. And actually, the survey was also in Spanish. So I believe, I don't know how many, I know it was 553 English, and it might have been 50, it was so many Spanish. So it was a random sample. So what we did was we made a robocall. We conducted a robocall. We told parents to please go into your Skyward and fill out the fill out the survey. We posted it on the school website to go in and fill out the survey. So Ms. Alvarez also took some of the surveys and put them at the libraries. So this is just a random sample. So anytime a scientist makes a decision, it's a random sample and they take the percentages from that sample. It's not that they don't get everyone, they just extrapolate that data from that sample.
I 100% could agree. But then when a scientist finds out that the experiment doesn't work, you have another option or a plan, right? So I think this is where I'm concerned with what the options and plans of what's gonna happen when we have an extra 50 in the building. What's gonna happen if, 30 don't show up, or, what's gonna happen? So that's where, if we can't take it, if you're actually having to invert people at your building, then what are you gonna do next? So that's the whole thing. I am happy the fact that we did do surveys this time, and Jesse, I know that was one of the emails we asked. We did not have surveys previously done. It was what parents did at registration. But what we did this time, when we asked teachers, we asked students, we asked parents, that's totally different. It was actually done differently this time. So that's, yeah.
So what I will say, that the plan is definitely fluid. I mean, it's a fluid situation. It's fluid for the country. It's fluid for everyone. One day we turn on the news and they may say X, the next day they may say Y. So it's fluid. It's a fluid situation.
The next thing I have question-wise is, it takes 3 weeks for someone to get hired within the city, the city of Chicago, and our crossing guards actually are paid through the city of Chicago. So that means on February 16th, we won't have any crossing guards, correct?
Well, I'm not sure about that. I don't know how the city. I'm not sure how the city of East Chicago works.
They have to have fair warning prior to. They have to be notified, the city has to be notified that those crossing guards are there. that's a must.
That's for the kids that are walking. to
Right. Okay, so we,
And,
2
and
weeks.
it takes
Not gonna happen.
time, it takes time for them to rehire, but to call those employees back in. And if not, if they have found other employment, then we have to find other crossing guards, and that's a part of city, not the school district.
So that means that whenever we decide that the kids are gonna go back to school, it needs to be at least 3 weeks before
Correct,
the kids go back to school, if that's what you all saying.
correct. My next question to you, so I know we have the issue with, the teachers. We had an issue where we had massive fall-offs at schools the last time we went back to school. Did we come up with a plan to handle something like that?
Yes, in fact, once again, we talked to Dave Dixon about that this morning. And anytime we feel as though there's abuse of sick days, we can ask for a doctor's notes.
So I'm not asking for the punishment of the teachers, I'm asking for what are we doing with those children? Because at the end of the day, it's what the children are gonna have to deal with, so what are we doing for their safety?
What are we gonna do with their safety? We're gonna make sure that they're accommodated inside the building, yes.
With not enough people being in it.
Well, we don't know. It's a very fluid situation.
So, okay, the next thing is, did we speak to our health department in regards to us returning? Because at the end of the day, teachers go back home, everyone goes back home, but we are here, these kids go back to their prospective families. There's 2 to 3 individuals or 2 to 3 families in one household. You know, COVID spreads very quickly. Did we talk to our health department?
I talked to a doctor this morning.
I'm sorry,
I talked to a doctor this morning.
from our health department?
I talked to a doctor this morning. I have talked to Ms. Bobo, yes, I have.
She's, Ms. Bo's not hired by the health department, she's hired by the school city. So did we talk to our health department? Because I feel like we missed the boat where the city gets affected when the kids go back to the school. Because it's so like, we're all interconnected. And so that's why I asked if we even made the attempt to reach out to Ms. Burns to see if there's, you know, what can we come up with? What do you think is different? What should be our number in the building? You know, because I don't know, I just feel like we need to have those conversations because they get affected, because everyone who gets sick has to go to them. They have to get tested through them. They're getting vaccines through them. So, I mean, you would think that you'd have that conversation.
But isn't this collaborative with the East Chicago Health Department? That's what Dr., I know he's no longer there, but that's what Dr. Money came from. In the very beginning,
Yes.
it was a collaboration with them,
Yes.
right?
He's not there anymore. So
Right.
I don't know if
That's what I'm saying. So whoever take over there, is there a new doctor that we in collaboration with that runs the health department?
I normally talk to Dr. Burns, but the Indiana State Health Department put out the guidelines. The Indiana State Health Department said that they gave us the yellow stage, the orange stage, and the red stage. And at the yellow stage, they said that we could support, schools could support in-person instruction. At the red stage, when the positivity rate is above 14%, that's when they recommended virtual instruction. So these guidelines that I'm following are the ones that came from the Indiana State Health Department, Dr. Box, who was the one that put those guidance out. So in addition to the fact that I talked to Ms. Bobo, who is always in constant communication with Ms. Burns, because Ms. Burns is very busy because she's doing the vaccinations. And I've talked to the former health department doctor on a regular basis, yes.
I did have one more question, but I think let's just move forward and decide whether or not we're comfortable with the return to learn plan. Unless there's any other questions.
Madam President,
Trustee Gold.
I do have a few questions. Relative to the city's hiring practices, if we move forward on this, the superintendent would contact the city and see if they could accelerate the hiring for this particular group of people. I'm not sure how many that would be, but if there's something we could do to assist us in that regard, that'd be great. I guess Trustee Smith brought up an issue that sparked a question in my mind. The 48% is it is a sample number of the respondents. So how does the process work? I've got a kid in 3rd grade. Robocall goes out tonight. Do I have to call and then you take people in order, and then when you get up to 12 kids, you say, that's it, we're not going to take any more. You're now restricted to virtual. How does that process work?
So we'll make the robocall and we'll just ask parents to recommit to their mode of instruction. So if they change, if they want to change their mode of instruction, then they would have to go into Skyward and change. But if they wanted to remain the same, they don't have to do anything.
My question is more, and I appreciate that. My question is more towards, we know we're going to have 12 kids in class. So let's say you get 14 responses today. How do you manage that? Or let's say you get 10, you got 2 openings. So you take the next 2 people to come in and then close it after that. I'm not sure how that process works.
The process will work. We're going to look at the kids' data and we're going to determine which kids probably need to be in the building the most. And that's probably going to be a building level decision. Building principals know their kids and this data a little bit better than I do because they drill down a little bit deeper than I do. So right now, if we'll ask parents to recommit, and if we have the openings for kids that want to come into the building, we will allow them to come into the building. But if we don't have those openings, and those kids would just have to remain virtual.
Again, it's been a while since I've been on board, but when is the ADM?
ADM count was today.
Today.
Yes.
That's what I thought I read,
Yes.
but I wasn't sure. Following your conversation about needing to get kids back in the building, not quite related, but somewhat related to this, I think many of us share the sentiment to get our kids back on a good learning track. I don't know if you've made any decisions moving forward, but I spoke to somebody who was in a school district in Illinois School District 62, and they're actually going to reopen their schools in July so that they can get their kids back in the learning mode sooner than later, and wasting basically 3 months in the summertime. Have you started looking forward to?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to use part of our CARES Act money to fund that summer school initiative. Absolutely. And then we're also looking at Saturday school in the fall when the kids come back to school, because what we have to realize is that our kids would have suffered so much learning loss. So I hate to put this data out, but I think it's important. Right now, 80% of our kids are at least 1 year behind. 45% are 2 and 3 years behind, and 35% of our kids are 1 year behind. So we have to make up. We have some learning loss that we have to address, and that's my only motivation for return to learn is the learning loss that our kids will suffer.
I know this isn't easy for you or board or community,
yes,
teachers and parents. So I just think that we need, this is a different time and we need to do something differently. And it's the old saying of, can't do the same thing and expect different results. So I'm glad to hear that you're thinking about forward and beyond this the end of the school year. Thank you.
Attorney Harris, I have a question for you. I know
Yes.
right, just said right now that so if there is like a list to decide whether or not I'm going to take little Johnny, because I think the data shows that he needs help or his numbers are low. but then you have the person before little Johnny was little Susie, and little Susie was just in line before that. Can we as a school district decide who we accept and not accept?
So I haven't looked at that before, honestly. I understand the plan, but it's not something I've looked at before, so I would hate to give you an answer off the cuff. I just don't know the answer to it.
Any other questions? Ms. Cass, can you please, roll call?
Trustee Rodriguez?
Prior, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, prior to roll call, can you rephrase what we are approving today, or for this particular? Are we approving the return to learn based on how it is today?
Return to learn, what I'm recommending is that the students return to the buildings February 16th. The 48% of the sample size parents, 48% of those kids will return to in-person learning. So we'll reopen the buildings for students to come back into the building on February the 16th.
And we've already had a motion and a second. So Ms. Cass, roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez?
No.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
No.
Trustee Smith?
No.
Chairman Hernandez Orange?
No. Next, we'll move to item number 5, approval of Vector Solutions K-12 education software as a service client agreement, safe school training.
Yes, I'm asking the board to approve the contract for Safe Vector Schools. This contract is a compliance piece for our staff when it comes to HR issues and all other type of compliance issues. Mr. Harris has taken a look at the contract. This is the second year with this contract. If you will go to the school website, you'll see where it says Safe Schools. All staff has to do is log in, and we can assign any type of training for teachers as needed. Right now, we have all of our teachers have taken courses in maybe 12 different courses and have been certified, and they have received 6.5 hours of professional growth points.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, make a motion to approve.
Trustee Rodriguez makes a motion for approval.
Second.
Trustee Smith seconds the motion. Are there any questions? I do have one question. I think I've asked for many years now. If we wanted to, can you put updated policies on this?
Yes.
Safety, as well as our handbook, so that no one can say, oh, well, I don't know what's on the handbook. So they can sign off saying that they have. I know we used to do it at Hammond, where prior to the beginning of the school year, every new policy, every new item in the handbook that was changed, it was added on to there. So I know I've been asking for this for a while, just so that everyone could know and so say.
Handbook, I would have to ask, I'm not sure, but we do have the capability of uploading policies in, and then, staff have to read the policies, and then it would stamp a time to let us know that they have, yes, absolutely.
Any other questions? Ms. Cass, roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez Orange?
Yes, item number 6, approval of Central Fundraisers.
Yes, I'm asking for approval of fundraisers for the class of 24, the drama club, the sophomore class. I'm asking for approval of those fundraisers.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I make a motion for approval.
Trustee Smith makes a motion for approval.
Second.
Trustee Gomez seconds the motion. Any questions? Ms. Cass, roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez,
Yes.
Trustee Williams,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez Orange.
Yes. Next we have superintendent's remarks.
Yes, once again, congratulations to all the teachers who have participated in the several number of professional development sessions that we have offered in the district. Also, I want to encourage our students to continue to log in to Canvas and to continue to work on their assignments and trust and know that we understand everything that they're experiencing, and they have an entire community and a board and a superintendent that's rooting for them, and we want to make sure that they get everything that they need.
Next, we have trustee remarks. Are there any trustee remarks?
Madam President,
Trustee Gomez.
I have two comments. One was, I know that the new North Township trustee was elected over the weekend, and I know that the former trustees done a lot of work with our schools, so I hope the superintendent can reach out to Adrian Santos to see if he can continue working with our schools and our kids. It's interesting that he not only is a graduate of our school district, but that entire board that serves the North Township area is, they are all former products of our school district. So if you could meet with him or communicate with Mr. Santos, I think that'd be helpful to see if they can provide services for our kids. Whatever that may be. The second comment regarding the state, I believe we do not have teachers listed in the 1B phase. Is that correct? 1B, they're not in that 1B group. The teachers getting the vaccination. So there's like a listing of essential workers, like 1A, and then there's 1B. I think I read an article where teachers were not included in the 1B phase, which is the next phase to get vaccinations, rather than waiting on vaccination shots that may or may not be there at the end of the day. I'm not sure if Attorney Harris, if we need to do this as a board, or the superintendent can, reach out to the governor or our state reps, the leaders of the houses, so that they can make a move to put all teachers, not just our teachers, in that 1B class, so they can get moved to the top of the list of getting the vaccination shot.
So that is something that we could do. I think what the board could do at our next meeting is adopt a resolution that would encourage the state to change that designation, and we would be doing that on behalf of all the teachers. But if that's something that the board would like, I can draft the resolution for your consideration at the next meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That concludes my remarks.
Any other trustee remarks? I do have to just state that, first and foremost, I want to thank our technology department. They are literally, we probably throw everything at them and ask them the last minute how to fix this and do this and put all of this in play. And not one time have they not come up with a plan on what to do for us. They also are always on hand for our students. Even today, the school basically shut down, but I do know that a parent, correct, ended up, Trustee Williamson, the parent of the technology. So they are literally always on hand for us. And I just have to say thank you to our technology department. You guys definitely are awesome. Second, I just want to state, and I'm not against going back to school by any means, because I do see the social need to go back. I do see the academic need to go back. I think we need to do a better job of having a plan for all the scenarios that come to me, and I do not think we're ready for there. That's what scares me, because I cannot just put someone in a building and there be an issue or a concern, or a parent come back and tell me, hey, we sent this kid back, there wasn't enough social distancing, you guys didn't have PPE, they caught COVID and someone died. I'm sorry, I'm just not comfortable with that. I'm also just extremely disappointed that we continuously, and I think Trustee Williams says this all the time, we just keep going back on not having procedures ready. So the people who end up family who hurt are the kids. Once again, with the removal of the HR personnel, the kids are not going to be able to do seasons. The kids are not going to be able to start, because of the fact that we're worried about procedures and how it used to be done. When we had an HR director, procedures should already been in place. I'm tired of failing kids. And that's where we're at right now. Any other trustee remarks?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Oh, okay. Just to kind of piggyback off of kind of what Vanessa just mentioned, not just mentioned, but in her first comment in regards to the technology department, I did have a parent stop by. I guess she's just seeing me snow blowing this morning, but I did right away. I did call our superintendent, and I want to commend you for always answering the phone in the wee hours of the day, either morning, noon, or night. It's not been a time that I have not called, because the schools was closed today. That parent said that she had a meeting with someone from technology there, so immediately I called the superintendent. I know it's some things that, you know, for board procedure, you don't supposed to get involved, but that parent stood out there for 30 minutes, and I just happened to say something to her. But I did call the superintendent, and she did tell me that technology was at Central High School, so I sent that parent to the high school. Don't know if she got her problem resolved, but we always had an option. That goes to say, in regards to our return to learn plan, I just believe that we, by all means, our kids got to get back to school. I do agree with you, Ms. Wright. We are getting further and further behind. I'm not sure how many trustee members have any kids in school, and I believe all of us do in some capacity. But my grandbaby is a second grader at Washington, and she's a very smart young lady because her mom takes time with her, her grandmothers take time with her. Everybody is doing their part, but that to be in front of a teacher receiving instruction is lost in this day and age because of COVID-19. So I need, what I'm asking for our district, from the school board to the superintendent, to our staff members, to our teachers, to our parents, is that we find some way to come to a happy medium. Everybody is not going to be happy. Everybody is not going to be satisfied, but we need to come to some sort of a happy medium in regards to getting our kids back into the building. Whether it's the 47%, whether it's 100% of them, whatever it is that we need to do in order to get our kids back in school, that is exactly what we need to do before we continue to lose our kids to the streets, to gangs, to drugs, to whatever the case may be. We need to get our kids back in school. That's my plea.
I agree with Trustee Hernandez and Trustee Williams. Our kids do need to get back in school. It's really messing with them socially and emotionally. My only concern is I just want to make sure that, I know it's an up and down thing and nothing is certain, but I just have to know that we have a plan A, and I just need to, if you lay it out, the plan A, B, and C, I think we would feel a lot more better. And because the community would be involved and also know the plan A, B, and C, because not only does it affect the child, but it affects the home. It affects the parent, because the parent has to change its schedule, and we know that this is part of this COVID, this pandemic. But I just wanna have something in place so that in case this happened, we have a plan B. If that happened, we have a plan C. And going back as far as February the 16th, it was a good date to me, but everything's really not in place because of the cost of God. Some years are not gonna, those are things that we have to think about. 8 of those 48% might want to school. And I understand, but we have to be more transparent to the community about this plan as opposed to just us. It's not just about us, it's about the whole community. So I think if we're a little more transparent about this return to learn to everybody, and I know you're doing your job, and everybody doesn't go on the website, but I don't know how we're gonna fix this, but we gotta fix this to the point where the community feels safe, send their kids back. I mean, and I feel much better if I don't have a plan. If we have a plan, not just me, but a plan. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Just to make you laugh, just to make you understand, understand that you gotta have
We
more
got a
than
plan.
just one
We have a plan.
plan. So
We have a plan.
I'm ready for them to come back to school.
We have a plan.
Anyone else? Okay, next we'll go to public forum.
All right, good evening for all those who signed up to speak during the public forum. This is an opportunity for you to participate in the public meeting. While it's not a question and answer session, the staff is taking your name, your contact information, and notes so that they can respond back to you if you do indeed have questions. We would ask that you refrain from any comments that are directly associated with your own personnel matters or that of any others, and also refrain from any abusive language or derogatory language towards the board members and the staff. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and please state your name and address.
All right, I believe that we have one person that's via Zoom that's willing to speak or wanted to speak. First up will be Barbara Bravonis. Ms. Bravonis, when you come on, if you can, if you're watching us live via Zoom, can you please turn it off or turn it down so you won't get any feedback when you decide to speak?
I had to turn my volume off. Did you call my name? I'm sorry.
Yes, you're up to speak.
I am up to speak. Hi, my name is Barbara Baronis. I reside at 3936 Worth Road, Highland, Indiana. I am a kindergarten teacher at McKinley, and I am also the vice president of AFT 511. Thank you for allowing me this time to speak. Just a few questions. One, I had emailed because I wasn't sure who to contact regarding getting put on the agenda. I emailed Ms. Wright. I emailed School Board President Vanessa Hernandez-Orange, and I also emailed the attorney, and I did not hear back from anyone. So if someone could please respond to what is the procedure of how to get put on the agenda for the AFT to speak before public comment, I would appreciate it. I know we're busy and things get forgotten or trying to find out what the procedure is. I understand that. So if you could get back to me this week sometime, I would appreciate it. Number two, I was going to want to ask again if teachers could, or if you would reconsider having our e-learning Wednesday or whatever day of the week you would like. I know the parents have expressed that concern to me as well, because I'm constantly on them. Hey, we haven't got our minutes for iReady, or you still have Canvas assignments, that are missing. Please make sure you get them done. And it's time consuming on teachers to have to keep track of who doesn't have it and then have to go back and contact them, call them, email them, dojo them. And we really need more time in our day to get these things done. So if you could please reconsider that, I would greatly appreciate that. And that's all the questions that I have today. I hope you all continue to stay well, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank
Good night.
you, Ms.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
I believe that's it for our public forum. Thank you.
Our next date and time for our meeting will be on February 17th, 2021. And our next meeting will also be approving our public meeting dates, so that we can have it on our website posted. Can I have a motion for adjournment?
Madam President, make a motion to adjourn.
I think it's motion to adjourn.
Second.
Trustee Smith seconds the motion. Ms. Cass, roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Gomez,
Yes.
trustee Williams,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez Orange.